The true nature of this mind and motion universe. The time has come in man's unfolding when he should have more knowledge of the nature of his electric universe of motion. He has never truly known it, for he has but sensed its shadow. The real meaning of substance has never been known by man for what it is. He only knows it for what he senses it to be. Actually, we live in two universes, the invisible zero universe of cause and the visible universe of effect. We have sensed the effect and believed in its reality. We have never yet known the universe of cause. It is time that we begin to know God's invisible universe, which is in absolute control of the visible universe. Man will never solve the riddle of the universe until he fully knows and comprehends the zero universe, which he can in no way hear or see. He can know it, however, and in so knowing he can, likewise, know God. He can even prove the fact of the omnipresent God in his laboratory. Nor shall man ever solve the riddle of his own self, his own identity, until he knows that he himself is as eternal as God is eternal. When man knows that he is mind and that his body is his mind creation, as the whole universal body is the mind creation of God, he will then know what the consummate mystic of 2,000 years ago meant when he said, "I and my Father are one." That is man's first great lesson. For ages he has believed that his body is his identity, and that his mind is in his body, but limited to the boundaries of his body. It has never occurred to him that his mind is in, but not of, his body. It has not yet occurred to him that his body is but a tape recording of what his mind is dictating into it. He has not yet begun to realize that there is but one creator in this universe, nor that he is one with that one. When man's first great lesson has been learned through the awakening of that divine cosmic spark, which has for so long been dormant in him, he will then have reached the first stage of God awareness, which all men seek, even though long ages pass before any man even suspects that he is seeking the light of his divine self. When that great lesson is fully learned, he will then know that he lives eternally and cannot die, and that his body manifests his thinking for a while, then rests for an interval before again manifesting his thinking from the point where it rested in his yesterday. As a prelude to this very brief outline on the principles upon which our universe is founded, we will reduce that entire principle to one sentence from which we will not depart during this entire narrative. We will but expand this one basic principle by describing its processes. Herein follows that one sentence. The Father-Mother of creation divides his sexless unity into sex-divided pairs of father and mother bodies for the purpose of uniting them to create other pairs of father and mother bodies in eternal sequences forever. This is the whole simple plan of creation. We will now begin to unfold the seeming complexities of its really very simple processes, which so mightily deceive our senses. If our comprehension is strong enough, we will be able to continually see a simple thread, which is repeated over and over in every effective motion throughout all nature, and throughout every event and experience of life. We will endeavor to enable you to see that simple, continuing thread by repeating it many times in many ways. Human progress is always marked by change. As civilization unfolds or grows, its concepts change to keep pace with that growth. Ages of marked wisdom became archaic to ages of greater wisdom. The last 2 or 3 decades of progress have moved the world ages ahead of the last century, and the last 2 or 3 years have promised to open new doors into that invisible universe, where the Creator awaits man's recognition and awareness of His omnipresence. Science is discovering God's invisible magnetic mind universe through little peepholes into it through a newly dawning intelligence. But science is not yet aware of what it is discovering. Science calls it antimatter as yet. That is wonderful and hopeful, to have discovered and believed that there is something outside of matter, which is seemingly the source of matter, emerging from it, is so wonderful that it seems like 1,000 years of progress in a day. Matter is motion. The antimatter, which now engages the serious attention of scientists, is stillness. Some scientists say it is pure energy. If matter, which is but motion, is energy, and antimatter, which is not motion, is pure energy, what kind of energy is that which is impure? What does it mean? The time has come when it is imperative that science must divorce motion and energy as one identity, and regard matter as but the product of the energy source. We wish to demonstrate to you that the antimatter stillness which science is discovering is the Creator's energy source. Yes, there is an invisible zero universe. It is the mind universe of magnetic light. For scientific purposes in explaining the construction of matter, we will name it the omnipresent universal vacuum. The universal vacuum is the expansion end of the universal piston, and gravity is the compression end. As electricity is the creator of focal points, which we call gravity, and because compression is the sole office of electricity, every oscillation of the electric current of creation is an interchange between the stillness of the universal vacuum of God, mind, universe of cause, and the electric universe of motion to produce effect. Each interchange between the invisible, omnipresent universe, where motion begins and ends, and the visible transient universe, which multiplies and divides the speed and power of motion, is a cycle. Pulsing cycles constitute the heartbeat of this universe, which simulates mind ideal through pulsing cycles of two-wave motion. Every pulsation of the life principle of multiplying motion creates divided electric male and female bodies, which seek rest in each other from the strains and tensions of their division into pairs of opposites. The supreme effort of this book is to have you comprehend that creation is a division of the Eternal One into countless twos of sex-conditioned opposites, which eternally seek to void their division by uniting as one. Creation is a mind-imagined journey of electrically divided male and female opposites in increasingly greater speed and power in the direction of each other, where they unite in rest to redivide and return with ever-increasing speed and decreasing power to the zero of rest in the magnetic light of mind from which they sprang into action. Creation is an illusion which simulates substance by multiplying the speed of centripetal motion and loses its appearance of substance by multiplying its centrifugal speed. If we prove this new state of facts to be in accord with nature's plan, it will obviously be necessary to have very different concepts of the nature of the universe than those concepts which are now held by men. We herein print two diagrams to symbolize both ends of the compression-expansion pump which this universe is. We cannot move our little finger without gaining the power to do so from the vacuum source of that power. We do not know that fact yet. We do not yet know that we live and breathe and express our multiple desires only by constantly taking power for each cycle from God and giving it back to Him at each cycle's end. Man has not yet become aware of the fact that he is but the motion within the divine cosmic vacuum tube which sparks its little light from out of its dark, and is himself that dark when his light goes out. When man is fully aware of the fact that he eternally lives in God's invisible, magnetic light as one with it, and merely manifests life by action in the electric universe, he will then know that when action ceases, it merely ceases without affecting him, even as sound ceases without affecting him who made the sound. One of these drawings symbolizes the energy end of the cosmic piston, from which gravity emerges in moving pairs to simulate energy by motion. The other drawing symbolizes the effects of motion at the compressed end of the cosmic piston. It is self-evident that all motion springs from rest and returns to rest for eternal repetition in sequences which we call electric frequencies. It is also self-evident that all motion springs from out of the dark in divided pairs and multiplies their gaseous beginnings into dense bodies of incandescent suns, then disappears into the dark through the gases of themselves. Where and what is this invisible dark from which the light of motion appears, and into which it disappears? Is not this the supreme question of all the ages? Can there be any other answer to that question than the fact that creation emerges from its creator? The greatest thinkers in science have repeatedly said that matter emerges from space and is swallowed up by space in some unknown and mysterious manner. The word space is rather a casual word to use in place of creator. Likewise, it is a misleading word, for space is not an expanse of something outside of matter. It is omnipresent within matter, as it is without, and it is in control of matter from within as well as from without. Future generations of enlightened men will cease thinking of this electric universe as being matter and substance. They will know it for what it is, which is motion only. When the ideal of substance has passed out of our thinking, and simulation of substance by motion will have taken its place, mankind will then comprehend his mind unity with the universal mind, and he will know his body for what it is, merely an instrument for creating form images of mind thinking. And here is a chart, I guess you'd call it that. I'll let you look at that. The one magnetic light of mind. Figure 6 symbolizes the uncreated universe, the zero vacuum universe of rest, from which the objective electric universe of motion emerges to manifest eternal life by simulating it in cycles of motion. This is God's omnipresent universe of ideal and desire, or the expression of ideal, by moving forms which symbolize ideal. This is the universe of the imaginer who builds forms in the image of his imagining, forgiving and regiving, in cyclic intervals, which unknowing man calls life and death. This is the omnipotent universe of eternal mind qualities from which transient electric qualities emerge to simulate the qualities of mind, magnetic, light, knowledge, ideal, energy, life, soul, love, truth, beauty, rhythm, balance, law, silence, and rest and stillness. This is the abiding place of eternal man who is one with God. It is God's kingdom of heaven within man, which the Nazarene bade men to seek. And now another chart, the transient, electrically compressed universe. Illusion of effect. The two electric lights of body. The unreal motion picture universe of thinking mind in action. The compression end. Figure 7 symbolizes the transient created qualities of divided pairs of units of electric motion which emerge from the vacuum zero universe to manifest its qualities for timed intervals and are then dissolved into its equilibrium for re-emergence. These seeming qualities are electricity, compression, form, light spectrum, expansion, sex, sound, heat, and motion. These multiple quantities seem to exist. They appear and disappear to again reappear, to simulate the qualities of life, energy, and ideal, which they seem to be, but are not. This is the motion picture universe of simulation and illusion, which dramatizes the ideal of reality by electrically projecting the thought-imaged forms of mind, ideas upon the imagined screen of space, which nature is. There is no life, energy, knowledge, ideal, truth, intelligence, or any other quality of mind or thought in the motion which man calls matter and substance, and mistakes for reality. It is time that man realizes that there is nothing whatsoever in this visible universe but motion, and that reality exists only in the vacuum from which motion emerges as heat to simulate the light of reality. The Creator is the supreme principle of unity in His oneness of being. The supreme urge back of His divided pairs is to seek unity in each pair. This is as true of the elements of matter as it is true of living organic beings. Since all matter is divided into mate pairs, is it not time that the father-motherhood principle of oneness in the Creator be recognized as the desire to attain that father-motherhood oneness by all of the divided mate pairs of all creation? Every particle of inorganic and organic matter in the universe is perpetually seeking unity with its balanced mate. There is no exception to this fact in all creation. Sodium seeks balanced unity in chlorine. It does not seek it in aluminum, phosphorus, or silicon. Nor do any of the elements on the red, alkaline side of the spectrum seek union with each other, nor do those on the blue, acid side seek union with each other. If this search for balanced mates is universal in all bodies of matter, and if the division of an equilibrium into polarized pairs is the effect which electricity produces, why do we not recognize the sex principles as the basis of all electrically divided and pressure-conditioned matter, and discard the old textbook idea of two kinds of electricity, one which repels and the other which attracts, as being the basis of matter and motion. The Coulomb law would be more understandable under this concept, for naturally males do not seek union with males, and two red or two blue sides of the spectrum do not make a complete spectrum. Such an inconsistent concept should be no longer applicable in a progressive world of slowly unfolding intelligence. The Coulomb law of attraction of opposites and repulsion of likes has no relation whatsoever to natural law. Nature does not attract, nor does it repel. Pairs of opposites in nature are projected centrifugally toward each other by the light mirrors of wave-filled projectors of light images, which must await further explanation in the very brief description of the geometry of space that we can include in this book. This basic new science is unknown as yet, but we are preparing to leave full records of it for posterity, if and when posterity shall be ready for it. Suffice it for here to say that all mates which are approaching each other for union are electrically forced to approach each other from the outside. They are not attracted together from the inside. They cannot help being forced. They are being wound up together electrically in spiral vortices. They must inevitably collide and become one, even as a threaded screw is forced to interpenetrate an oppositely threaded nut. This simile is as good a one as any is a good one in other ways. It exemplifies the red and blue of the spectrum and the red and blue of sex division. The red interpenetrates the blue in all elements up to carbon. Beyond carbon, the blue interpenetrates the red. This is also an unknown basic characteristic of the creative process, for no textbook of science ever mentions it. The Coulomb law has been fundamental for decades. Those who still desire to cling to it must deny the Einstein equation of 1905, for both of these contradictory laws cannot be true. One or the other must be wrong. And I am going to end this video and start again in the next one. And I'll end showing you this chart here. And then there's another chart.